All right, Mike, thank you very much. Now, this year's legislative session ends in less than a week, and there are still dozens of bills that need to get a vote.
Yeah, one is an energy bill that helps promote solar, but some are raising concerns about it increasing costs to your electric bill. Your chief political reporter, Susan Raff, is live at the state capitol, where that bill is being debated now. Susan?
Anytime you talk about energy, people are bound to pay attention. That's because we all know that Connecticut has some of the highest electric rates in the country. Now, this plan, as it was crafted, tries to create more incentives for clean energy, mainly solar, but Republicans say it will jack up the costs. Connecticut's energy debate is centered on skyrocketing electric rates and how to balance affordability with environmental goals. Democrats want to create more clean, sustainable energy. A bill now in the legislature would provide financial subsidies for residential and commercial customers who use solar. It would also give financial incentives to companies who want to store solar energy. But Republicans are critical, saying subsidies would mean increased costs passed on to electric customers.
This is an unconscionable policy. It's extraordinarily expensive. It will result in billions of dollars in new costs on the backs of consumers into the future.
They're taking advantage of the affordability crisis to put fear into people's minds. The whole structure of this thing is intended to lower ratepayer costs, and particularly the public benefits which they focus on.
And as you just heard, Democrats are digging in their heels, saying this plan will save taxpayers money, not increase costs. But we are expecting a heated debate in the House here tonight, and then if it passes, it will go on to the Senate. We are now in the final days of the legislative session, and lawmakers still have some important bills to tackle. We'll take a look at those coming up on Eyewitness News at 6. Your chief political reporter, Susan Raff, Channel 3 Eyewitness News, live at the state capitol.
All right, thank you, Susan.